From here, I had more money to throw into the principal of the debt, therefore paying down the debt amount along with lowering the minimum payments and interest charges. Thus, as the months went on, my surplus kept getting bigger, and that's how I've been able to create a snowball effect to debt repayment. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maher. Abiad, so happy you are here with me today as I provide you with the best information on how to lower your expenses, increase your income, and pay down your debt so you can finally live a life financially dominant. And in this super informative video, I'm gonna walk you step by step through my exact strategy that I have personally implemented in my very own debt repayment plan to help me accelerate my debt payback. And more importantly, the strategy that I am using right now to increase my cash on hand that I have at the end of each month, so I have the most amount of money possible in my very hands to put towards that pesky principal debt amount. Make sure to stay until the very end of this video as I'm gonna show you one of my most powerful tricks to increasing the amount of cash I have left over at the end of the month, which has helped me to not only pay down my debts even faster, but have more money left over to put into savings and also to put towards investments. For so many years, I've been dealing with this debt and accepting and simply just living with it. I knew I had lots of debt, but I didn't really have a plan or a grasp of the numbers, and therefore I really didn't know just how bad things were. Then when I finally woke up to my reality, I got so sick of knowing I had this debt on my back, and I just wanted to simply start by figuring out where I stood. So that's when I opened up a spreadsheet and started to put down my numbers. On one side, I put down all my expenses that I knew I was paying each month, such as car payments, rent, food, gas, cell phone, subscriptions, and so on. And then I went and I even added on the minimum payments that I was making each month to each of my credit cards and lines of credit. From there, I put down on the other side all of my income streams. Then I added up expenses of all the money that was going out, and then I added up all of the money that was coming in. The difference between these two numbers is paramount to your success with paying down your debt. If you have more income than expenses, then you have a surplus amount of money each month, and this is great. If your expenses are greater than your income, then you are in a deficit, and this is where the big problems begin. A thing I say all the time is that if you can't see the problem, you can't fix the problem. The whole point here is to know, okay, so what are my fixed expenses each month? Let's put them down so I can actually see them with my own eyes. And then from there, we have a starting point to where we can go from here. A little secret here before I move on to the next point. Honestly speaking, if I had never started budgeting, I can for sure say that I would have had so much of a harder time with my debt repayment because I wouldn't know anything about how much money I had extra or short each month. So a tip for you is to start budgeting right away. So now that you have your budget set up, whether you are seeing either a surplus or a deficit, we want to do something here to improve our chances of paying off this debt successfully as fast as possible. In order to do that, we need to do a cut. No, not a haircut, an expense cut. Because here's the thing, if you're in a deficit, there have to be things you need to start chopping off each month to help you float up to even or surplus. And if you are already in a surplus, well, we don't want to take decades to pay this debt off. We want to grow it and put as much as possible on it as fast as possible to get it off our back super quick. Look at all your expenses and go through them one by one and ask yourself, what can I now eliminate? This is not a game anymore. You have to get serious about this debt and paying it back fast. It's not worth all the stress it's most likely giving you. So if it's not an expense that is absolutely essential to your survival, then it's probably a want and you need to cut it, cancel it, or get rid of it. Before I go on, if you've got a friend or family member that you think would benefit from the content in this video, make sure to share the video link with them so they can also get all the juicy details that you're getting. So here is where the rubber meets the road, and I really started to make headway with my debt repayment, and I'm going to share this little trick with you right now. Are there any expenses that you cannot eliminate, but that you can convert from monthly billing to annual billing instead, such as car insurance or even subscriptions to things you subscribe to each month? The key here is cash flow. One thing I realized while paying down my debt was that at the end of the month, I wanted my surplus to be as big as possible. That surplus was my total income minus all of my fixed monthly expenses minus my minimum payments. So by cutting out as many expenses as possible and by also converting monthly billing expenses to annual billing expenses, then my surplus would be bigger. Therefore, my monthly cash flow or money allotted that I can play with was a lot higher. From here, I had more money to throw into the principal of the debt, therefore paying down the debt amount along with lowering the minimum payments and interest charges. Thus, as the months went on, my surplus kept getting bigger, and that's how I've been able to create a snowball effect to debt repayment. You see, the thing that is really hurting you when it comes to paying off your debt is the interest. In order to get the interest payments down, you need to pay down your principal amounts. And in order to do this as fast as possible, you need as much cash as possible in your hands at the end of the month so you can put that surplus of cash towards the principal amounts of your debt, which then lowers your interest amounts, which then lowers your monthly minimum payment costs. If you've gotten even one piece of value so far from this video, make sure to hit that like button right now, as it really helps to support the channel. This is why budgeting is so important, because you can physically see what you are spending on each month and how much you have allocated to spend on each category, like food, gas, housing, entertainment, cell phones, etc. The more cash you can recoup from your income sources, the better, because that's how you accelerate your debt repayment, by putting in the most amount of cash back into the principal amount of the debt. Cash is king in this case, because when you are in a deficit, it snowballs the other way and you now have to borrow more just to pay the minimum payments. You're working so hard just to pay interest each month, and you make little to no progress. And every month you will find yourself in an endless cycle of working to pay interest on things you may have bought years ago. Don't think of money as something that can just be thrown away. It's a tool for you to advance your life and your family's life forward, to support yourself, your kids, your spouse, and even your parents. Money is precious because it can be lost very easily, but it's also so powerful because it can also make you rich if you know the rules of how money and wealth actually work. Listen, folks, at the end of the day, you are free to do what you please. But for me personally, I got so sick of debt. I got so fed up of working at my jobs 8 hours a day to just have that money squandered and wasted paying interest on things, junk I didn't even care about anymore. If you really want to get wealthy and rich, you need cash on hand, lots of it, and as much as possible. Getting rich in the future starts today with you living well below your means. If you bring in $5,000 a month, then don't think, oh hey, I have $5,000 to blow and waste. No! You want to keep as much of that in your pockets as possible, and you want to keep your expenses low, like really low, and that means sacrifice and not trying to keep up with the Joneses. If you make $5,000 a month, ask yourself, can I live off $2,000 a month or even $3,000 a month maximum? And save, invest, put away that extra couple thousand you have to pay down the debt, to save for emergencies like a car repair, root canal, or an unforeseen medical issue. I stopped caring what others thought of me and my lifestyle because I knew that if I wanted to become wealthy one day, I had to make sacrifices now. And that meant cutting out stuff I really don't need and not spending anywhere near what I was making. I recently recorded a video on this topic where I talk about how I treat money like oxygen, and it's a video I recommend you watch after this one, which I will link to in the description and in the card that appears. This has been my focus for a while now. How can I increase the surplus amount of cash I have at the end of each month so I can not only put some savings aside, but pay down this debt once and for all and have even more money to put towards investments and investing in the future. Thanks so much for staying with me until the end. If you got some value out of this video, make sure to smash that like button right now so even more people can get the benefit that you got. And if you don't want to miss out on even more informative videos just like this one on personal finance, investing, and finally becoming financially free, then subscribe to the channel right now for weekly videos that I drop just like this one. If you thought this video was cool, you are definitely gonna get a ton of even more value in the next one. You can now watch the next video in the playlist in the upcoming end screen. And until next time, I will catch you in the next video.